Pentagon officials are issuing detailed new rules prohibiting service members from actively engaging in extremist activities, warning that extremism in the ranks is increasing. The new guidelines come nearly a year after current and former service members participated in the U.S. Capitol riots, triggering a broader department review. U.S. defense officials say fewer than 100 military members are known to have been involved in the cases of extremist activity in the past year, but they warn that the number may grow given the recent spike in domestic violent extremism, particularly among veterans. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has held the first presidential trilateral meeting of the Security Alliance with Poland and Lithuania amid tensions with Russia. Zelensky reiterated his will to see Ukraine become a member of NATO and said that strong countries make NATO stronger. Poland and Lithuania expressed support for preemptive measures against Russia. Moscow has sought security guarantees against the eastward expansion of NATO, but the military alliance has rejected demands to rescind a 2008 commitment to Ukraine that the country can one day become a member. Russian Ministry of Defense has released what it said was the first video of an unmanned aerial vehicle ORION hitting an aerial target. The ministry has said in a statement that the new Russian UAV hit a helicopter-type drone during tests on the military training ground in Crimea. ORION can also conduct reconnaissance far apart from a base airfield for dozens of hours, as per the ministry. Two women have been taken hostage by a man at knife point in a shop in the French capital. The man is said to have been under psychiatric treatment. A major police operation is underway and the public were advised to avoid 12th arrestment of Paris. Hundreds of migrants who trekked on foot to Mexico City sought humanitarian visas to transit freely through Mexico. However, only a group of nearly 30 people were given the visas. Last week, immigration authorities offered humanitarian visas to migrant caravan, or if they already have one, permanent residency will be granted to those who request it. Many migrants have been stranded on Mexico's southern border for months. Under Mexican rules, migrants must wait to process their claims before relocating to other parts of the country without fear of deportation. Spain has handed 36 ancient artifacts back to Egypt that was seized from traffickers 7 years ago. During a ceremony at the National Archaeological Museum, Egypt's ambassador to Madrid thanked Spain for the recovery of the valuable pieces, including the lion's head of the warrior goddess Sekhmet, carved in granite. Now, the artifacts that were on display at the museum also include 4 canopic jars used by the ancient Egyptians to keep the embalmed viscera of the deceased, as well as figurines of several gods and goddesses. According to the Spanish police, the antiques are valued at more than $170,000. Thousands of protesters filled the streets of Buenos Aires to mark the 20th anniversary of Argentina's great crisis, when a social outbreak over an economic meltdown saw 39 people killed in a government crackdown. The protest was taking place in a very similar economic context to that of 2001, when the country was under a large-scale debt. This time, a deal with the International Monetary Fund worth $44 billion has fueled fears in Argentina once again. Britain's Vodafone is set to auction the first text message ever sent as non-fungible token. The message reading Merry Christmas was sent on the 3rd of December 1992 to a Vodafone collaborator. The online auction has been organized by the auction house in France and will take place today. The buyer will receive the replica of the original communication protocol that transmitted the SMS, and proceeds will go to UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency. Peruvian officials said that the application of booster doses of COVID-19 vaccine will be advanced and restrictions for Christmas and New Year's Eve celebrations will increase. A person can get a jab within 3 months and will no longer be required to wait for 5 months. Peru has registered at least 12 cases of the Omicron variant. Most Omicron cases in Peru have been detected in the capital city of Lima. Peru has vaccinated 74% of its target population with 2 doses against COVID-19. Health officials say they want to reach 80% before the end of the year to avoid a new outbreak. Austria has reintroduced stricter travel restrictions at its airports and borders as Europe increased efforts to keep the Omicron variant out. The Alpine country had temporarily relaxed its lockdown over Christmas and New Year's Eve thanks to a drop in infections, but made entry into the country by tourists a contingent on the so-called 2G plus rules. Now non-residents arriving in Austria will have to be vaccinated, recovered and show a valid negative PCR test. Austrian passport holders and residents will be allowed in unvaccinated, but they will have to go into a 10-day quarantine until they are able to show a negative PCR test. Israel has added the United States to its no-fly list, citing concerns over the spread of the Omicron variant, and under the edict, Israelis would now need special permission to fly to the United States on one of more than 50 countries to which Israeli citizens cannot travel. Prime Minister Naftali Bennett has said that Israel had bought some time by moving fast to limit travel when Omicron was first detected last month, but that this was now waning. Acting on health ministry recommendations, cabinet ministers have voted to put the United States, Italy, Belgium, Germany, Hungary, Morocco, Portugal, Canada, Switzerland and Turkey on the no-fly roster. Thousands of protesters took to the streets in northeastern German city of Rostock, calling for restrictions against the unvaccinated to end. A large police presence accompanied the demonstration, which remained peaceful. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz had earlier announced tighter restrictions in the coming weeks. The restrictions are likely to include contact restrictions among the public.
Es ist eine politische...
Cuba has vaccinated more of its citizens against COVID-19 than most of the world's largest and richest nations, a milestone that will make the poor communist-run country a test case as the highly contagious Omicron variant begins to circle the globe. According to reports, the Caribbean island has vaccinated over 90% of its population with at least one dose, and 83% of the population is now fully inoculated, placing it second globally behind the United Arab Emirates among countries of at least 1 million people. A flooded river washed away a temporary bridge on a highway in central Bolivia. The bridge collapsed and turned to a river in Marana town of Santa Cruz after devastating floods swept roads. The heavy rain have also damaged dozens of houses and crops, according to local media. Santa Cruz authorities have not reported deaths.
El perrito, mira, Natalie se lo está llevando todo. Natalie todo se lo está llevando. Cruza rápido el puente, no se opa. Se lo va a llevar todo, mira.
Staff at the Belgian Zoo of Antwerp this month welcomed a newborn Malayan tapir, an Asian relative of the smaller and the better-known South American trunk mammal. Caretaker Lynn Van Steenwood said that the calf was in Mother Nakal's first son and the fourth child, and that the baby is doing great. It is very lively and playful. It hops around very happily. And now a native of the rainforests of Southeast Asia, the Malayan tapir, also known as Malay tapir or Asian tapir, is considered an endangered species according to the IUCN Red List of Threatened Species. Santa Claus delivered some unusual holiday cheer in Brazil's Rio de Janeiro by feeding the sharks and swimming with stingrays at the city's aquarium. Santa was joined by Miss Claus and other Christmas icons. Visitors gathered around the displays while divers fed the sharks and fishes. Santa's diving adventures will continue until the 25th of December. And locals dressed up as Santa Claus roamed the streets of Christian Town, which was overrun by the Islamic State group in 2014 in Nineveh Governorate of Iraq. Santa has distributed sweets to children in an attempt to put a smile on their faces. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.